So let's get started right into it. Why are we here? What are some of the things that are going to prove to be very, very important? And why is aviation English? Why is phraseology so important? Well, have a listen to this and you'll more or less get the picture, because it sets the stage up as to, I'm an ICAO 4, but I didn't understand what the FAA controller is telling me. I don't want you to be caught in that situation. Have a listen in on this.
Florida with a pilot who can't understand a control tower?
Well, it may surprise you to know that it happens all the time. 2 months ago, an NBC6 investigation exposed this problem in the skies above us. Now, investigative reporter Steve Daniels is back with some encouraging news about one airline in particular working to make the air travel safer. Steve?
Tony and Jennifer, our investigation uncovered and revealed foreign airline pilots flying here into Miami International with plane loads of passengers, and they're actually endangering those passengers because they don't speak English well enough to communicate with air traffic controllers. Well, now one airline in our report, a Colombian airline called ACES, wants you to know what it's doing to prevent cockpit confusion.
Miami Center 125.7.
A Miami air traffic controller watches her radar screen in horror. Two jets are converging on each other at 700 miles an hour. A mid-air disaster is just seconds away when she orders ACES Airlines Flight 500 to take evasive action.
ACES 500, turn left, flight heading 220, turn left now, traffic 12 o'clock.
An FAA investigation revealed the pilots misunderstood controllers. The pilots were flying at the wrong altitude while approaching Miami on a flight from Bogota. The FAA found there were multiple instances in which ACES 500 did not respond or comply with air traffic control instructions.
It is scary every time, but we've become accustomed to that happening.
That's what Kelby Black, president of the Miami Air Traffic Controllers Union, told us when we first brought you our investigation 3 months ago. Her colleagues constantly complain about the dangers of pilots from many foreign airlines who speak inadequate English. But now ACES is taking action to make our skies safer. In fact, the airline invited us inside the cockpit on a flight between Miami and South America to see firsthand what the airline is doing to improve English in the cockpit. In more than 6 hours of flight time, we did not hear any problems when our pilots were speaking English to air traffic controllers.
Good afternoon, ACES 502, level 31026 miles.
Since the near collision in Miami, the Colombian airline has launched an aggressive classroom curriculum to train and test its pilots.
Level at 330, squawking 6734.
ACES 500, descend to flight level 240.
ACES is now requiring all of its cockpit crew members to spend 2 days twice a year inside this language lab in Medellin. The pilots are graded on their ability to speak English. If they don't pass the test, they're grounded from international flights. Right now, 3 ACES pilots are grounded from those flights because they don't speak English well enough. Their instructor, Juan Carlos Rodriguez, who is also an ACES pilot, says he makes his class difficult but realistic to make certain the pilots are as well trained as possible.
ACES 500, are you parking on the Bravo concourse?
Okay, once again, your answer would be?
Affirmative, we are going to park on Bravo concourse.
After the near disaster in Miami, Rodriguez says his airline asked him to weed out pilots who could not speak English.
We start working with FAA, Miami Air Traffic Controllers, to design a program in which we guarantee that our pilots are properly certified to fly in the United States.
Mike Connor, a former air traffic controller and current president of the National Aviation Research Institute in Washington, says more foreign airlines should do what ACES is doing.
I'd like to see them set up an English proficiency department for all their pilots, controllers, and those people that come in contact with the passengers.
During our investigation, pilot Sam Badner, who flies plane loads of passengers from Miami to South America, revealed another serious safety problem. South American air traffic controllers often do not use English, the international language of aviation, and instead speak Spanish to other Spanish-speaking pilots.
You know, we're all in this together. We all share the same airspace. We need to be speaking the same language so everybody knows where everybody else is located.
Now, Panama is taking the bold step of requiring all air controllers and pilots to speak English to each other. No more Spanish allowed. It's the first country in Latin America to mandate English only, an effort to make air travel safer.
Okay, here we go.
Back in the ACES Airlines classroom in Medellin, Rodriguez has decided 3 flight engineers must get immediate intensive training because their English is not up to par. He says after the near collision in Miami, the airline has zero tolerance for pilots who speak substandard English.
The lesson learned when that happened is that we needed to improve. We've been working on it, and we will continue working on it. We will be striving to achieve peak performance.
And one more note, ACES also has someone actually record pilot radio transmissions here in Miami. Those tapes are then sent to Colombia, where they're analyzed for English proficiency. And one more encouraging note, later this month in Phoenix, there are going to be air traffic controllers, pilots, and airline executives coming in from all around the world to try to tackle this problem, approach it head on, and try to come up solutions so worldwide air travel is much safer. Reporting live at Miami International Airport, I'm investigative reporter Steve Daniels.
Okay, so now do you get a little bit of understanding as to why this is happening, why you are required? And let me say this, Viva is the only airline that is currently conducting these particular types of workshops in Colombia. There are many mainstream airlines that you have operating out of Colombia, and believe you me, that is something that is not being taught through most of them, okay? So, yeah, sorry about that. So it is something that is very, very important for your learning and your operational experience flying into the United States. Now, here comes the other side. This is the other side that has to do with the regulations. Yeah, if you didn't know before, there are regulations that govern whether or not you do this workshop. There are regulations that govern whether you fly into and out of the United States. Just having a pilot's license does not give you the right to be able to fly. And here's why. Viva Air, as many of the airlines operating outside of the United States, operate under very, very specific federal regulation. And it's called the FAR Part 129, which has to do with the foreign air carrier operating commercial flights into the United States. Now, part of that FAR Part 129 foreign air carrier has to do with certain procedures and rules that must be followed by that airline. FAR Part 129.19. Make a notation of this because this will be the very, very foundation and basis for your doing this class today. And it has to do with air traffic rules and the procedures. Now, here's the rule, and this is the one that applies specifically to you. It says, and I quote, that each pilot, that's every one of you in here today, each pilot must be familiar with the applicable rules, the navigational and communication facilities, and the air traffic control and other procedures of the area to be traversed by him in the United States or within the United States. Now that applies to you. That says that you, okay, you, Diego, you, Valentina, you, Daniel, you have to be familiar with these applicable rules and procedures. Now, there's an obligation for the airline itself, Viva, and that's the B part, because it says that the airline for each foreign air carrier operating into the United States shall establish procedures to assure that each of its pilots has the knowledge required by paragraph A, which referred to you, of this section, and shall check the ability of each of its pilots to operate safely according to the applicable rules and procedures. That's to say that the airline must establish some form of class like this workshop. They must establish that so that we can teach you some of the things that are needed. And guess what? Even best part is at the end of this, the final part, when a check is conducted, when you are checked to see if you understand the rules and procedures. That is the part that the airline is fulfilling with regards to this regulation. And finally, part C, which relates to the airlines, each airline or each foreign air carrier shall conform to the practices, to the procedures and other requirements prescribed by the administrator for U.S. air carriers for the areas to be operated in. And that's plain and simple. So here you are. Here you are about to learn a little bit about the air traffic rules and some of the procedures. You will also do that in further ground schools conducted by the airline itself. But for the English part, the phraseology part, the communication part, that's here. That's right now. And it is very important that you understand so that you can be understood, so that you are checked and you have clear understanding and are able to use proper and standard phraseologies. Why? Well, here's the interesting part. If you can read, you can understand that. If you do not pass, if you are considered to be lacking and are unable to get through the checks, well, I'm sorry, you're not able to fly into the United States unless you are familiar with the FAA rules, navigational systems, and communication. Your airline has to train and check you first, because my dear and my gentlemen, if you do not, you will not be flying into the United States. Why is that? Well, what you must understand is it is a very, very important aspect when it comes to a pilot or a pilot flying and the pilot not flying. It plays an important role when the two of you have to come together and work for the safety of the flight. That's what we're all about. That's what the airline is all about, safety. And that includes the flight crew, the passengers. Everyone must have very clear and very concise communications in order to be able to speak the necessary language. It is essential. And number one, when you're flying into the United States and it is your duty or your responsibility, pilot not flying, to be able to handle communications, well, you've got to do that, and you have to be able to do it effectively because lives are involved. And that is Viva Air's policy. Understanding, communicating fluently in English, all right? This is an essential, all right, skill that is needed for the safety of the flight. Communicating with ATC, always listening, always monitoring the frequency. Why? For other aircraft. Situational awareness. When navigating, weather updates, being able to call and ask for a weather update at your destination, ask for a weather update or an en route, PIREP, with someone else along your route. Are you able to do this? Monitoring the systems, monitoring computers, doing your checks. Also, likewise, getting the ADAs, what is the current runway in use, what are the NOTAMs pertaining to the airport you're flying into, being able to calculate your stop distances based on the runway lengths you have available, and on and on and on. These are the essential abilities that we are talking about.